weren't even from that trade.
I've got zero construction background. I was the photocopier guy. I never want to tell someone how to think. I want to try and teach them how to use their own mind to think their own way.
I'm going to earn money for my family, and then you go home and you're a prick. Your family would rather you be poor.
That changes everything for those relationships. I've got to try and be really intentional about showing up the right way for my family. There's been plenty of people we put on that they could be that star, but for whatever reason, they fail to see through on that opportunity.
What are we all grinding and rushing to?
If you hit the snooze button and you don't get up, what are you telling yourself?
The one and only guest. Mate, welcome.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Barry.
you taking the time to come out. You and I have been friends for, mate, I was trying to count it the other day actually, and it was like, I've had this business 5 years.
5 years now?
Yeah, I was at Usher for 2, so we're almost coming up 7-8 years, mate, of knowing each other, and I couldn't think of anyone better to help captain the ship with me, mate, and be the first guest on here. Of watching you from the outside and knowing you personally, and seeing what you're doing within the business unit that you're in, the man that you are, the friend that you are, and your enthusiasm for life, and just the resilience and all that sort of stuff, man. It makes you truly one of a kind and a special person to have here. So yeah, really appreciate you taking the time to come out, man.
Thank you, Barry. I'm honoured, mate. I'm honoured that you thought of me, and I think our friendship's been pretty special, and that, we're not someone that has to talk daily or weekly or catch up, but when we do, it's just like no time has passed, and such quality conversations, talking about things that actually matter.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a rarity in today's world. I think so often people just talk for the sake of talking and, in each other's faces, but, for us, we're actually talking about things that matter, whether it's family, business, people, culture. Special.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think the perspectives that we both share line up in so many different ways, whether or not it's mindset, health, family, responsibility. It's not often that you bump into someone within the construction industry that shares that similar mindset, It's sort of...
It does feel even more rare in that space, doesn't it?
100%.
Different beast.
Yeah, and I think making that transition from site to the office really gave me an opportunity to meet and connect with blokes like yourself, even women, being able to find those similar mindsets has really helped me grow into the person that I am. And it's obviously all led up to this point. We were just talking off camera before about the journeys that we've both been through, and if we can share and touch on some of those things, which was the theme of what I wanted this podcast to be, is I've called it Built Different, because I think that there's ways that people are doing life professionally and personally that don't always get the chance to come to light. You know what I mean? I think having some conversations that are captured through video, through audio, give space for those ideas to breathe. So, man, if we can touch on a few, I've prepared a couple of questions, and we'll run through those today. And I don't want it to be any sort of structured format. A lot of our combos zig and zag, and they go from wormhole to wormhole. And
let's see where we go. Hey?
I think that's the best part about our friendship is that there is no judgment from either side. So, mate, if there was one thing that you could tell a stranger about yourself, what would it be? I obviously know you, but you got 5 minutes. You bumped into him into a lift. It broke down for a little bit before the fire department get there.
Yep.
What would be your intro?
Don't fret. I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I do know how to solve a Rubik's Cube from a motorbike injury. I got bored of playing video games to figure that out, but that's not the thing I'd probably share. It'd be more so, I think for me personally, if I had one thing I could share with people, is that I have a genuine curiosity for other people.
Yeah.
I love understanding what makes other people tick, and that's both professionally in the workplace, but also personally within family units, friends, whatever else. I think it's the key to strong relationships is trying to understand what's important to other people and what motivates them, how they understand things, how they want to be communicated with. If I was going to share something with someone, it's like, for me, it's a genuine life interest is to work out how other people tick. And sometimes it becomes a bit, I wouldn't say consuming, but, maybe I dive in a bit too deep thinking about how other people, their own psyche and stuff. But, and I think if I was stuck in a lift with someone, I would use that time to actually learn more about them. It'd be pretty cool to be stuck in a lift with someone, not knowing what the outcome's going to be, and have that opportunity where you can't be anywhere else, you can't do anything else. So what can I learn about this other person?
Yeah, that strikes. I'm exactly the same way, and I think that's where we're real similar. Is we're both people.
People.
Yeah,
yep.
and bumping into the culture that you guys had, where you work at obviously one of Australia's premier painting businesses, and the culture that you set in that sales team. That was obviously your role there. When I was working there before I started this business, was the national marketing sales super guru, whatever it was, man. There wasn't enough words to sort of fit what you actually did for that place. But coming in and being able to get that buzz off, you're obviously in a different office to us.
Yep.
But being able to come and interact with that and see what you were doing and how you were bringing the best out of people. Like, they weren't all necessarily superstars at the start, but what you identified in them. And I think it speaks volumes to how we run our business too, is that relationship element, that people element, that sort of getting to know someone,
yes,
and asking some questions about how they see things and how they are motivated is that's obviously a skill set of yours and an interest. I think it's like, when it's interesting, it's not something you have to work at.
Yes,
but yeah, I really find value in that too, man, because you can have some of the strangest conversations with people just based on asking them what they're into and all that sort of stuff. It's it's good, man. I think that having the ability to have that interest really suits your role.
Yeah, thank you.
Speak to us about that role, man, about where you've been and what your career has led to up until this point. Obviously, I know a lot about it, but people listening in might not know so much. So give us a bit of a rundown as to what you do, where you're at, and how you got there.
Very fortunate. Still work with the Usher Group where we met, and role has progressed and changed and evolved so much during that time. So I'm actually in my 9th year currently with the business, which just feels unbelievable.
Almost long service, mate.
Yeah, almost long service. Very funny happenstance to get there. I used to work in facilities. I was running and managing a lot of public and private swim schools and gyms on the Gold Coast for a while. And I guess my nature is to apply myself at the highest level, and I kind of got to a stage where I burnt myself out in that career. Had a whole bunch of health issues and flags, and was working 7 days. You know, those venues open from 4 in the morning. You got to get there at 3:30 to prep them until late. So like big, a lot of stuff going on between the different venues. Loved it, learnt so much. That's probably why it took me so long to walk away from that, because I genuinely loved it. But I kind of had to make a call. So I transitioned from that into, I followed my brother-in-law actually into the world of sales, and that was in software, specialised software solutions at the time. And in that tenure, again, really enjoyed it. Wasn't looking for anything. Happened to stumble across the Usher Group as a prospective customer. And so I actually was in there pitching the solution of software at the time through to that business. Funnily enough, because there's a whole range of what I was able to sell, but particularly for Usher, the simple thing was photocopiers, right? It was part of the solution. So I was the photocopier guy to Usher, which was quite funny.
It is.
So anyways, I was trying to look at what their current scenario was and how we could help their business, blah, blah, blah. Number of meetings came through at the time, and was dealing with Theo directly, the owner of the Usher Group, and sort of ended up having 5 or 6 different meetings. Got to the point where he called me one day, said, "Mate, you've got the deal, like come in, bring your paperwork." So I thought, here we go, here's another deal. Again, not looking for anything. So I walk into this meeting and I come in with my contracts and whatever else, and he goes, "Mate," funny thing first is I walk into this meeting to sign contracts, and there was a meeting room full of about 5 or 6 different people. I thought, this is really bizarre. So I sit down and he goes, "Mate, move the contract over there." He goes, "I don't want to talk about that. I want you to come work for me."
He's a unit, He's a straight unit.
He knows what he wants and he just goes for it. And apparently the story goes that he was pitching it internally, and they just thought he was crazy because they're like, he's the photocopier guy. Like, what do you mean? Like, this we're a construction company. So for those that don't know the Usher Group, it's a specialised trade services company, most predominantly known for their commercial painting. They're Queensland's largest painting organisation, but it's evolved as well as a business into other specialised trades. We've got our own signage that is done in-house, full design, manufacturing, fabrication, install. We've got our own access business, so similar to you. In some spaces we're competitors in there, 100%. So scaffolding, swing stages, mast climbers. And then ongoing maintenance as well, and then obviously still the commercial painting and rendering. But large beast. They were confused as to why he was pitching me as a potential candidate to join the business.
It paid off.
And I guess it's gone both ways. Actually, it took me a while to say yes because I wasn't looking for a job and I was quite comfortable, and I'm a very loyal person too, so I wasn't ready to jump.
Can tell, mate. Yeah,
it took me nearly 3 or 4 months to say yes. Yeah, yep. This is a bit of back and forth, and was getting married at the time, and I sort of agreed to finish up where I was, get married, have my honeymoon, and then I had a fresh start with Usher after when I came back. And mate, it's been a wild ride since. So started with Usher in the repaint specific division. Yeah. Learning how to measure existing buildings, work out different substrates, and this was all foreign to me. I've got zero construction background, no paint background, no nothing. Yeah, so I think it wasn't coming from any level of expertise in that space. It was more sort of sales, relationships, all that sort of stuff, but fortunate to be able to have learned on the way. And yeah, since that time I went from being a sales repaint BDM sort of estimator, looked after the repaint sales as a whole, and then evolved into being the overall paint sales manager, and then it was the overall group sales manager, which is, I think, when we would have crossed paths. I was the national sales manager at that time. We had a big office in Melbourne, Sydney. It was quite a big national organisation, the Usher Group at the time. We still do work nationally, but the focus has changed since COVID. And then fast forward a couple of years, I've taken over marketing. I've earned myself a seat on the board for Usher, so a C-suite role. So it's now Chief Sales and Marketing Officer. And it sounds kind of fluffy, but essentially I look at it and don't really box myself into sales and marketing either. It's kind of what does the business require? How can I help from a cultural standpoint, from staff? You know, it doesn't matter whether it's operationally focused, accounts, finance. Like, I will get my hands in anything now where I can see that I can add value to the business or help. And just, feel so fortunate to be trusted to do what I do in that role and apply myself the way that I do.
It's funny, how Theo shares similar personality traits to both of us in the sense that he's able to identify, or he focuses more on personality type, not so much experience. And that's one thing that I've learned since having the business is you don't need to, experience is just practice. Yes. But an attitude, people's work ethic and drive, and to be able to spot that from the photocopy dude is wild, But he's obviously, he to get into that position, to have a business as successful as that, and to attract people to allow that business to grow and to generate that type of success is a credit to that personality trait, which I think is what we talked about earlier is understanding people, what motivates them. Like, you get in a room with that dude and you're the same, man. Like, it's a vibe, eh? Like,
100%.
And we all, I think, in our own way, try to cultivate that energy in our own lives. And I think blending the gap between the personal and professional side, like sometimes we're one element outside of work, and then we put in our uniform and we go there and you've got your walls, you've got your facade, your relation, whatever it is that happens, and you go there and you sort of act a certain way. But being able to create and foster, like, he's obviously created an environment there within those walls that allows that culture to breed. And you're a massive part of that, man. And that was the takeaway that I got through my 2 years there, was just that energy and the way that he focuses on relationships, and it comes through the team, and to be able to see your ability or your it's obviously 9 years is a long time. You've changed in that period so massively, but to be able to identify those traits in someone, it's a skill, eh?
Oh, it's an absolute skill.
But you're almost like, do you think, like, because you have it, I try to say that I would consider myself someone that can gauge someone's personality type pretty well as well. Is it born? Is it learned? Like, is it natural? Like,
I think it's a skill I continue to work at, and sometimes you still get yourself surprised where you think you've got someone worked out and they surprise you. We've had a few of those over the years. But I think, I think generally it comes from a space of a bit of a mindset or an attitude of optimism as well. Like, I like to think that I can see and seek out the best in people as well. And I think sometimes you can see more for someone than they can see for themselves. And it's whether or not they actually grab a hold of the opportunity that you're providing them. And I think there's been plenty of people we put on that they could be that star. They could grab a hold of it. They've got the ability to actually grow with the organisation.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, whether it's their own limiting beliefs, circumstances, whatever, they fail to see through on that opportunity. And I think it's got to be it goes both ways, right?
How do you drag it out of them? Like, touch on that. You said mindset and limiting beliefs, and that's something that you and I have had countless hours of conversations about.
Yes, yep.
And they're the types of ones that I love getting into for sure. And as someone who's in charge of a team, how do you bring up the fact of like, you've got a half empty mindset? Are you growth? Are you like, how do you do that with the team? How does that live and breathe in your daily life? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't probably flat out go and say it to someone. But
sometimes you feel like you need to.
You feel like you need to.
Stop looking at everything empty.
I definitely try and give people the opportunity to see things differently and provide perspective. I never want to tell someone how to think. I want to try and teach them how to use their own mind to think their own way and analyse things. So I try and ask more prying questions that force them to think, to answer whatever question I've got for them.
And do you where do you go to learn those questions? Is it just instinctual?
There's a bit of that. I'm a sucker for personal development as well. So listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, observe a lot of things. I try and put myself in spaces where I'm learning from people that I feel have those skills and attributes that I want to learn from. So surrounding yourself with the right people, I think you start to get asked those sort of questions and you start to see what it does to your psyche and how it changes the way that you think about things. And Theo's been a massive part of that too. He's always been someone who won't give me the answers and tell me. He'll be asking me the right questions, and it unearths something within me that has given me the opportunity to grow and to take ownership, I think. And that's probably a big part too, is that I try and emphasize with anyone that I work with in the team is that, like, give them their level of responsibility or their opportunity to take responsibility and ownership of their role and what they're doing. So it's not about telling them what to do or what outcome or how to go there. It's like, well, you know, you've been put into this role, you're entrusted to take this level of responsibility. What do you think that responsibility entails? Like, where does the buck stop? Like, at what point do you say this isn't on me, this is someone else, and point the finger at a different direction? And we try and talk about that real, like, ownership of your role. So it's one of our core values within Usher is having complete ownership of your role and just not looking for opportunities to handball things to someone else. And even if it means that you're maybe going beyond what your role is, it's like it's an opportunity to learn and see how it impacts other areas of the business. And for me, when I'm dealing with staff, it's always just looking for, within conversations, trying to push that responsibility, ownership back to them to see if they're going to grab a hold of it. And I think that's when I sort of gauge to go, okay, well, is this person actually doing it, or are they quick to deflect or quick to say, you know, I'm not sure, you tell me, you know, like it's...
It gives insight almost into, I call them handrails. So it's like, don't kill anyone, don't spend $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, we're obviously, you've been employed to do the job. It's micromanagement, something that I don't know if you've experienced, but I've experienced it in whether or not it's like over controlling parents or a work colleague, whatever it is. That it's sort of, you figure out what you don't want to figure out what you do want. So like when you go through those periods of being micromanaged, you almost are like too scared to make any of those own decisions. And so like one of the big things that I wanted to implement with our side, and you guys do so well there, is like you just touched on, is those handrails that just, bro, let them walk, let them experience that thing, touch the oven, realise it's hot, but setting that framework. And they need to
fail too. Like, it's so important. I think if you see something coming and you just jump in front of them and you fix it for them, like, I think the opportunity to learn is missed.
100%.
And obviously, like you said, there's handrails that are, sometimes you have to intervene, or you've got to show them if it's going to be catastrophic, the outcome. But generally speaking, if it's not going to, you know, bring the world down, let them take ownership of it and learn from that experience, and then guide them out of that valley. And I think it gives them, again, a greater sense of responsibility, or seeing the, you know, how important little things are. Like,
they go searching, I find. Like, I've experienced it where it's almost bordering on a bit of like handballing and laziness from my side, because one, there's no training. Do you know what I mean? It's just go figure it out. But like, it's really delivered results in the sense that, okay, bump there, and then they go searching for their own path. Like, people are what we love about people is that diversity, and like everyone is going to come to a different conclusion. They might get to the same spot, but they're going to take a different path.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The GPS gives you take left or an alternate route.
Yes.
And so that person may not see it like, and if I'm going to force the way that I see things and my perspective of the world onto how that person does or makes that choice, then it's not really them doing it.
No.
It's me having to.
And it also limits your ability to grow your business and scale, because then you've got to be involved in every single decision that's made. If you want it done your way, then it means that you have to have your hand on every single decision that's made, which isn't sustainable, or it is to a certain degree, and then you're just capping your own growth or your people's growth. And you got to think about it. If you've got someone who actually, you think about the kind of people you want in your organisation. If you want people who are going to have good attitudes, take ownership, take responsibility, you have to give them the freedom to do that, because if they're that kind of person and you suffocate them, they won't hang around, they will go.
I agree. And I think being able to foster that and identify that, is there certain things that you like? I'm not sure if you're still involved in the hiring and firing of sort of your team or people under your team, but obviously you were sort of instrumental in sort of handpicking people and finding them in the right positions that they get to. What do you sort of look for when you're chatting with someone at the start? You know what I mean? Like, you've got someone to come in, you've gone through 400 resumes or whatever it is, and you're looking for someone to fill that role. Experience is one thing. Vibe is another thing that we talk about.
Absolutely.
Is there anything specifically that sort of stands out to you on a resume, or maybe when you meet someone that goes, okay, sweet, there's clay there. We can bring that person into the fold, into what we know is the values of this business, and be able to turn them into something? What do you sort of...
It can be role specific, and yes, still very involved in hiring and firing.
Expected, for sure.
There's definitely certain roles where you might need specialty experience. You might need someone who has that specific knowledge and experience, like whether it's a financial controller role or, even from an estimating point of view, sometimes you need someone who actually knows the industry and has had the experience. But to me, that is still always second to their attitude and their behaviours, because you can have someone who has all the experience and the skill set, and if they do not work within the values and the behaviours of the business, and they don't fit the culture, it can be cancerous and destructive. And we've had that. We've failed with hiring numbers of times, and I think we have tried to learn from each of that as well. We've implemented something now which has been amazing for the business as well. So I guess go back to your original question, what I'll be looking for within a resume. Some of it, and it may not always be right because there's reasons for everything, but I do look for longevity with previous roles and commitment. So if you see that someone's bounced around every 12 months, they're in a different business.
You're asking questions.
And I mean, there may be a justified reason for it, but it's definitely a flag. And we're looking to go, like, how committed are you, and what are the reasons for having jumped around? But also it's funny, I actually look for a lot of, like, if they have any personal hobbies or interests and things in there, like I look at for what else people are doing that shows more of their character, because I'm interested in their character. And there's one we were looking at recently, and they were like the president of a football club, and that to me shows that they're volunteering their personal time, they care about community, they're happy to invest, their own time, will be self-sacrificial for something positive. And I look at it and go, okay, that's probably someone who we would like to have within this culture, because they're actually someone who's of service and giving and cares about things. I'll just look for little things like that. But outside of that, I guess once we've had the initial sort of vetting and bring in some suitable candidates, one of the first things we do is actually hit them up with a personality profiling. I do
that now. We did that for our most recent hire for the interview process. It's it was a free, it took them half an hour, but it gave us the ability to understand what their personality was going to, and we ran the rest of our employees through and see where they would fit in the team. I love that. I love that.
It has made a huge difference.
It's wild, hey? Like, I think business owners can get so much value from that specific point of, like, yes, experience is one thing, but we've got mates in other businesses that weren't even from that trade and started that business, but that mindset of being able to find people, touched on what we're talking about before, getting around people that are not better than you, but like lifting your game. We're challenging. You know what I mean? 100%. Challenging your mindset, challenging your beliefs, challenging your thoughts, and to be able to find people whose personality And it's funny how when they take and answer those questions that aren't necessarily like, are you funny? Are you smart? Like you get to the end and you read some of them. I don't know if you've done one, but I've done a couple now, and I'm like, did they, like, where's the robot? Like, how did they nail me so perfectly? Even the focus and all that sort of stuff. It's wild to think that there's so many resources out there to be able to help someone who's thinking about it or has their own business that's struggling with staff, retention. Culture's this thing, hey, like you hear about it in big organisations where it's like, yeah, we've got culture this and culture that. And I think the one thing that you guys have been able to do really well is to keep that an actual feeling in the joint despite the size. Like at a certain point, there's so many people within the business that culture becomes some values on a poster. But like the thing that I really took away from working within that business unit was Theo was obviously religious, and having his, I think he's Greek Orthodox, but having that sort of element of the giving and all of that sort of stuff come back into that Usher care.
So the pillars and values.
The pillars and values, man. And I think they do that personal and professional, being able to blend that with, like we spoke about, someone that may be real, like that outside and figuring out what they like to bring into the business and really grow is so good.
Absolutely.
It's
and you do, like, you make a good point there, and we've definitely, we're far from perfect, and I think, culture is something we place a huge emphasis on, and we try and invest a lot into it. But it's hard to get that right balance. And I think now, because we've got between contractors and employees, we're back over 500 people within the group now again.
That's wild.
And that's with more of a Southeast Queensland focus. So you think about trying to maintain a culture and values and behaviours. So we've really had to shift to this model of, again, empowering and putting trust into department heads. So for every department within the Usher group, we've got a general manager now, and they're responsible for their team and their subculture, I guess. So we talk about it a lot. We've got the group culture, and we try and foster and make sure there's really high integration and collaboration. But it's also the responsibility of those GMs to build their subculture. They've got to have great team, great bonding, great energy, because they need to be happy within their own environment, but still be able to integrate with the rest.
So
there's like subcultures within the culture.
And how do you guys go, like, with the small staff that we have in our office, we're all buzzing, pumping, talking about mad motivational shit. And then the guys on the field that may not interact with that daily, you almost get that fence where that information and that vibration that goes through your business or that you think is in your business, you can get ensconced in that sort of, oh yeah, cool, we're killing it. But then you bump into one of the guys that's on the front and you're like, oh, shit, it's not getting there. Like, so
it's not transferring.
How do you get that from Theo down to the bloke who's got the paintbrush in? Yeah, look, it is a big challenge. It's wild.
And I think, again,
crazy number.
So we're trying to layer everything, right? So then from general managers, then we've got project managers who have a number of projects on themselves. And so we'll run project management, monthly meetings, and we bring all the project managers in. We talk about these cultures, behaviours, what can they do on site? Because it can't be the sole responsibility of Theo to ensure that vibe and that buzz is getting across every person. It's impossible.
Your cup only pours out so much, man.
And it's impossible to expect that myself, Stu, or any of the other executives or general managers can do that as well. So at every layer, we're passing on that level of responsibility to say, this is how we want to behave and this is how we want people to feel. This is the culture within Usher. We're trusting that you are passing that on as well. And I guess there, often we can get surprised by that, and we find out that there's things happening within teams or sites or whatever that don't align with those values, and then it is a bit of damage control and trying to figure out what stemmed from it, how it happened, and why. But the important thing is we're asking the question and we're trying to deal with it when it does come up. But it is difficult, and I think we try and look for opportunities to give those site teams the same sort of experience in their own unique way for sites that they don't get. So whether that's site barbecues,
they're massive.
organising an event where we can get all the site teams together to go do a top golf or something like that, like where we can actually still get integration, but it might look different.
Yeah.
And you've got to look at it too when we go back to understanding people, what makes people tick.
100%.
I think the motivation of site-based people versus office-based people can differ as well.
Oh, I was just thinking that exactly.
There's no point going, hey, we do this for our office staff, like we put on a yoga class. Yeah, we're doing yoga. We've got, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
If you said we'll do the same thing for you, they're just going to go like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
So what do they care about, and how can we
collect that information? From
exactly.
site.
How do we?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there are differences in terms of, like you said, I was just grabbing coffees earlier, and the bloke hived his shirt and he's talking about his mate sent him through a coffee order and he's like, almond milk, no. Like even just going and ordering that for some of those blokes on site gives them a certain connotation of whatever it is. So trying to find that and get that back up the chain so the leadership team is obviously aware of it and can put stuff in place of how that looks to benefit them. How does that information flow back?
Lots of different channels, but what we tried...
Having experience is a big thing too, eh?
For sure, yeah.
Doing those barbecues are sick.
Yep. And I think trying to create a trusting culture where people feel comfortable to be honest as well, I think that's the challenge too. I think that we've gone through spaces where people may have had fear, whether it was legitimate or not, or whether it was justified or not. They may have had fear around communicating how they were actually feeling and whether there was going to be negative consequences. So they would just bottle it up and just deal with crap and they shouldn't have. So we try and give people permission, and we let them know that we want to know the truth. We want the feedback so we can actually do something about it. But probably one of our most, professional ways of getting feedback that we can action is we do a lot of internal surveys, and they actually go through it all. We utilise this system. It's been a great software that we've invested in, but everyone basically on our staff is uploaded into this platform and portal, and they've got their current role, maybe where they want to go, like pathways and where they want to grow to. There's grading, there's all sorts of stuff, performance development, but within that we can actually send out surveys, and we can send them either to everyone or we can go specific to teams, groups, locations, whatever, and we can customize these templates and these questions, but it makes it very easy for our tradesmen. So it actually pops up straight on their phone as like a text message. They just click on the link. They don't have to log in, put passwords in, mess around. They literally, it's already linked to their profile. They just answer a couple of questions, hit submit. All that data comes back, gives us really great insight as to where maybe there are some surprises in our gaps in the culture, gaps in whatever. And again, you've got to look at it and go, there's always going to be some who are negative for the sake of being negative. So you've got to be able to filter through and look for trends and where things are happening in certain areas, and then also just be curious, like
genuinely ask the question.
You don't want to shoot from the hip and go, oh geez, everything's like no good, or there's a problem here, and set off alarm bells. Like, okay, well, we've got this feedback, let's now, who's going to take the lead on this, whose responsibility is it to try and resolve this? Let's make sure we get them investing the time to figure out what's actually going on and what the truth is. And then once we have the truth, then what are we going to do about it? You
actually got to do something. And that's where I think a lot of challenge comes. There's so much insight for people that are thinking about it or that have small businesses to learn from bigger businesses, right? Because obviously they didn't start at 500 plus people nationally or Southeast Corner, but you've grown there. And I think you guys, it's part of the reason why these conversations are so important, you know what I mean? To foster that knowledge. A lot of our successes come from finding out stuff. You know what I mean? You don't know until you know.
Absolutely.
And so to give benefit to some of these people that have small businesses that may think, oh yeah, that's all well and good when you've got 400 people, but you can do that. It means once you've got that information, being able to action it and taking responsibility, because it's like, I find myself, cool, I want this utopia of a workplace, right? And then
it's your vision
grind of like having to then do all the other shit, and you're like, oh, I don't have a department head to do this, that or the other. So there is already a bald spot from how many hats you wear as a small business owner.
I can only imagine.
But so much value in being able to prioritize that, because you can't get to a size like that, or even you may not even want to go that big. But getting that value from a business and being around people to be able to get that insight from the shop floor, even the shop floor, your office, just find out genuine interest about people,
Yep.
what makes them tick, like we talked about. But then, okay, cool, I've got all this information. Then you're like, yeah, no worries, I know it. And sometimes I find myself guilty of like when you have a conversation in your head and you think you've spoken about it. Perfect example with your partner, right?
Yep.
Whatever it is, an argument, like even an idea that you're trying to communicate, and you have that, and then you go away and you've followed the process of a snowball through the convo.
Yep.
And then it comes back around a couple of weeks later, you're like, oh, I thought we sorted that out. Like, realistically, it's been in your head. It's all good, like knowledge. I think you might have said it to me, man. There's a saying, and you could probably refresh it up, but it's like there's no good knowing all the stuff in the world if you're not going to be able to put it into action. Like knowledge is power, but it's only power if you actually do something with it.
Applied knowledge is the real,
100%. So it's getting from all those surveys, right? You get them all in, and then, like you said, you've got those department heads that sort of action that. I think those personality types almost blends in together. Hey, like being able to find that department head that has an open mind, that isn't someone that's had 1 year's experience repeated 30 times. Hey, like we've seen where it's like, I'm stuck in this, I've done it this way for so long. Like,
there's a big difference between 30 years experience of evolving experience versus, like you said, 30 years repeated experience where they just do the same thing and they haven't actually evolved. Or
it's wild. So I think that younger mindset, maybe not even person, but like I think we're sort of transitioning a lot from the old school to the new school, and maybe every generation goes through this. Maybe every business that has come from a generation of mums and dads running it or whatever it is, that I think information is our best friend in this day and age. Hey, like you and I are like have the luxury of being able to jump onto a smartphone and chat GPT the shit out of anything.
True.
And to be able to gather as much intel, info is not a problem anymore.
No. I think the biggest challenge you have now is actually discernment.
Too much.
Yeah, you've got potentially information overload, and it's going, where do I actually focus my energy and my attention, and how do I discern what is the information that's relevant or not relevant, that's going to be useful. But it's definitely like we're very fortunate to have that accessibility and a tool that's there. It's just more so, what are you doing with it to still
too
be
much, man? You get paralysed. Hey, paralysis analysis. Like you're scrolling, and I've got Dan Martell telling me one thing, Alex or Mosey telling me another thing, and I'm just like, I've done nothing. All I've done is spend 6 months thinking about it. And not actually putting anything into action. Like,
you can feel good absorbing it all too, because you're just like, I'm listening to all this stuff.
It's that dopamine, hey, and it's like you get it, and then now my challenge has been, and speak to it, like if it's similar for you, but like my challenge is actually trying to get away from it, right? Like we've read so many books, you've listened to so many podcasts. There's enough there to live 70 lifetimes. But I think that now for me, especially with my personality type of shiny ball going past and going, is being able to then just focus, is gain that focus. How do you put focus in your life?
Try and have a rough framework for how I'd like to have everything work in some sort of symphony or harmony, I guess. But being very flexible and agile within that, so you don't get fixated on a particular outcome or a certain way where you're then going to get frustration or resentment or whatever. I think being able to adapt on the fly is really, really important. But for me to be able to focus, I continually, one of the biggest questions I ask myself is, what's the most important thing I can be doing right now? Or what does this situation require of me? So instead of trying to put, drive in some sort of outcome, it's like, well, again, be curious, like what's in front of you right now? What alarm bells are going off? What urgent piece is coming at you? Well, what is the best thing? Like, what does this situation require from me? Like, what's the best way I can respond to this to get the right outcome? Even if my emotions are raging and I've got, information come from different areas, I've heard someone else did this and did that. It's like, well, this is probably more of a unique situation to me. And I shouldn't say that, like, there's not really too many situations that are completely unique to you. I think someone somewhere has had some level of experience, but I think you still need to be able to be in the moment with whatever's going on in your life and go, what is this situation asking me to do? How does Barry Minton need to step up to this situation and respond to it? Am I going to throw my toys out the cot and have a tantrum? Am I going to refer to a book that someone else told me how to do something? Or am I actually going to look at this and go, what's the right thing for me right now, for my business, for my family, for whatever that is? So it's just trying to, I'm sort of digressed a bit, but in terms of focusing, it's just trying to figure out what are the right questions to ask myself.
How do you do that? Like, obviously, in the sense that you've been someone that I look to in terms of not just a friend, but obviously a role model in terms of the way that you spend time with your family. You've gone through bits and pieces in your life, and when you say that are applicable to Michael or Barry, that's through a lens of your life experience. Yes. And your life experience from the last 7 years of our friendship and the challenges that you've faced, like it's all well and good sometimes to set these things, hey, and then like you said, the noise that goes off in the back of your head as you're trying to make a decision that's getting drowned out by the challenges that you face personally. Is there things that you can share in terms of practices that you do and things that you do to try and maybe empty the cup a bit? Because it's easy for us to carry just shit, bags of life experience, something cut you off on the way to work, whatever it is that may affect your ability to be able to perform at the level that you've come to expect from yourself. What things are important to you in terms of your daily habits, nights before, mornings, all of that sort of stuff that help you make those decisions with as much energy and enthusiasm as you do?
Mornings are a bit of a sacred time for me. I feel like the mornings I really have control of my life. I don't have noise screaming at me typically from the time I wake up. So I'm an early riser. I'll get 4:30. Yeah. Usually it's.
Are you going to bed at a sort of fairly consistent time the nights before? It's hard, eh?
Yeah. Look, I've gone in and out of healthy and unhealthy habits with going to sleep. I'm probably back at a bit of an unhealthier space at the moment, if I'm being completely honest. But what I try and do is just force myself to still get up at that 4:30 time, and that hopefully pushes into a better going to sleep time at night. But the reason why the mornings are so important is that I can really set my day up for success in terms of resetting myself from an energetic standpoint, from physiological, mental, like all those things. So, I'll get up early, do some good light exercise of some sort. Get into the office early, and I'm very fortunate at Usher. We've got some pretty great facilities that are there. So we've got an infrared sauna and an ice bath, something that the boss invested in, and super grateful for that.
You got the Ducks Nuts one now,
so I rotate between the Odin ice bath and the sauna, and that time is just for me. It's for me to be able to, not to be overwhelmed with what's going to happen for the day, but to actually just be present within myself and to. Like you said, like sort of empty that cup a little bit, challenge myself. And I look at this a lot is that I'm really trying to embrace productive discomfort. So I actually try and challenge myself in a way that is productive for me to then handle the stresses of life and what's going on.
Right.
So instead of trying to escape and avoid discomfort, I actually lean into it and I look for it because I find that it then makes me feel like I'm more equipped and able to handle whatever stress is going to come through. Right. And I think, not to put ideas into people's head, it's just that I think that there's a bit of a culture of escapism, and I've watched that and seen it, and I honestly, I feel guilty. I find myself guilty doing it sometimes too, where it might just be like a harmless scroll on. Yeah, bro. You get on the doom scroll.
Starts off 2 minutes, and then 35 minutes later you're stuck.
And that is a form of escapism. Yeah. People escape with alcohol, whatever it may be. They're trying to distract themselves from the challenges of life, right? And it's not that that's a bad thing, but I think that you can't keep running. It's going to catch up with you and it's going to collapse you at some point.
I agree.
And I think for me, what's been really valuable for me is being able to actually embrace discomfort and to go looking for it and to try and callous my mind and my body, look for different things like that, and the ice bath is definitely one of them.
It's an important point, man. Like, I unplugged mine at winter, and like hearing you say it is like hearing you say the escapism side. It's like, oh nah,
I'll wait till it's warmer.
I'll wait till it's warmer. And you're so right in the sense that when I was doing it consistently, and like you said, it's interesting to hear you articulate that of searching for the discomfort, because now I'm like, oh, do it. Like, now go search for it, because I find so much value in that, but not having it articulated in my own mind is so beneficial, man, to hear you say exactly that, because emptying, I was touched on it before, I love that morning routine. I do the same. I'm 4:45. I find that anything that you've carried over that's lagging from your sleep. I found something that's been really beneficial to me is to put some thoughts in my head before I go to sleep of how I'm going to wake up.
Love it.
So like whatever time it is, I'm just as guilty of you of like 10:30 with me and the missus and Netflixing or whatever. I'm like, shit, I should have been in bed at 9:30 if I want to, but I'm regimented at that 4:45.
Bang.
Get up, follow that same process. But going to sleep with the thoughts of I'm going to wake up fresh. Like I've skipped it a couple of nights and woke up, bro, your eyes are like lead curtains.
Oh, yeah.
And like just the difference of being able to pop up with an intentional thought before bed has changed the game, because then when I get up, I've got that little 1% extra to go through some of the stuff that you don't want to do, man. Like it's dark now, it's cold, it's freezing. Like you look over, your neighbours are all asleep still.
Yep. You're so right, because our brains are like supercomputers, right? And I think the more that you can control that morning and you give yourself little wins and you have discomfort and you overcome them, like you're already telling yourself that you're able to handle things that are going to come.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas if you hit the snooze button and you don't get up, what are you telling yourself? You're telling yourself that you're lazy.
Have you done it? Have you felt the physiological difference of hitting snooze?
1,000,000%.
Bro, I'm 1,000 kilometres behind myself. I get headaches. Like now I've done it that many times that it's like I'll feel like it, and then this inner voice is like, "Don't do it, bitch. Get up." It's crazy.
Jocko Willink says it perfectly: is that discipline equals freedom, and it's like if you can be disciplined about the healthy habits and the even discomfort things that a lot of people avoid, and they want, it's hard. We live in a world where comfort is like the main priority for everyone. They want to be comfortable, they want warmth, they want their clothes, their cuddles, their downtime, whatever else, and there's almost like a sense of entitlement for it. And I think that's probably something else I've really tried and challenge myself with, is to remove any sense of entitlement, right? And this is probably the biggest play out with my family at home, and I don't know if you've ever been guilty of it, but you have a absolutely intense day and you feel entitled to come home and do nothing to basically get on the doom scroll and escape because it's been a tough and exhausting day. And that may be justified, right? You may be able to say, you could give out all the reasons, and someone from the outside would probably say, you probably do deserve to put your feet up and go to sleep. But who are you hurting by doing that?
Yeah, man.
It's your family. Like, they don't care. Like, what they do, but they don't. Like, how are you showing up for them?
I agree.
And so I try and remove that entitlement to go, like, doesn't matter whether it's justified or not, how should I be showing up for my family? And I could be exhausted, I could be frustrated, I could be overwhelmed, but I've got to try and be really intentional about showing up the right way for my family. And it's not always about quantity of time. Like you could give your family half an hour or an hour of just really present dad time, husband time, and that changes everything for those relationships. And I think too many times I've done it, and I know so many people that they just, they feel like they've had their big day at work, so I don't need to do anything. I deserve a beer, or I deserve this. Like, sorry, I'm too tired, or I'm too busy. And it's like I try as much as I can, and I am guilty of it. There's certain days where you're in that reptilian brain. You just, like, everything's going off, and you feel like the weight of the world's on you. But I try to be aware of it and just remove that entitlement to go.
It's important you say that, because I've started doing something real similar where, I don't know, but maybe it was the Swiss training that we did at the retreat when I came, but it was like pull over before you get home. And so I try and sit in the garage for 1 second and I try and breathe that exact entitlement feeling the fuck out because it's massive. And the amount of times that you miss opportunities to spend, like you said, like your son comes up and he needs 5 minutes of your attention. And it's like, no, I've got this thing to do. Or you're still carrying that snowball of the day and that, I want to sit down and relax. But you missed that. And I was talking to Flynn off camera before, and it's that exact same process of like, what are we all like grinding and rushing to? Like to stack up all these things and bits and pieces when the people that we love are just like you said, it's not that they don't care, but they've got their own life and experience, and now they're seeing their dad or their mum or whatever walk through the door. They're excited to tell them about their day, and you hit them with this or nothing.
Or nothing.
Or nothing. And they're just like, what? And then you wonder why there is like people that struggle mentally, you know, and it's that vicious cycle.
It is,
because you're escaping from some of the things that you have direct responsibility for.
Well, that's coming back to it.
It's accountability.
Yeah, you've got responsibility to your job, but you've got a responsibility to your family.
To your family.
At the end of the day, you're doing your job, your business for your family.
Yeah. So it's counterintuitive. Yeah, you nailed that perfectly, because you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to earn money for my family, and then you go home and you're a prick.
Yep.
It's like, what? Your family would rather you be poor.
Yep. And you talk to anyone who's had experience growing up with parents for, whatever reason, the most important thing to them was the quality time. Obviously it's nice if you have the money to go and have life experience to do things. I'm not saying it's not. Like, it's great to have wealth, to be able to have options to go and do things.
For sure.
But above all,
for sure,
it's quality time. And I think, there's plenty of people that are happier with less because of that quality time.
Gratitude, man, is huge. Like that time that I take pulling up in that garage is to remember that, like, divorced parents may not get the opportunity to drive into a garage and go see their kids.
Yep.
And half empty sucks.
Yep.
We are fortunate enough to live where we live, to experience, to have the friendships that we have. There's always someone that's in a worse position. Then there's always someone that's like, we look up, you know what I mean? There's always someone that we may look to.
Yep.
Oh, I wish I had that. I wish I had that. Someone's doing that to you.
Yep. Yeah,
someone's looking at our lives and going, fuck, I wish I had that.
Yep.
And to stop sometimes is beneficial for me. And I know you're similar in that thinking of, like, being able to just take the time, writing it down, whether or not it's the morning or pulling up in that garage and going, you know what, I'm blessed that I've got a wife. I'm blessed that I've got kids, a house, the comfort that we take for granted sometimes.
Perspective is such a powerful thing, and I think, it is sometimes it's hard, like you said, cup half empty, but it's, I think people don't draw on it enough. Yeah. And I think for me, I've really enjoyed having things in my life that situations where I go to look for perspective, to go, how can I create gratitude for what I do have? Because, like you said, there is comparison. In today's world, especially with social media, you're getting bombarded with comparison of things you don't have. So people are coming from that lack mentality. Yeah. And so they're tired, they're coming home, they're feeling like they don't have what other people have, and then they're not showing up well for their family, and they're actually creating a world that they don't want to have, rather than being grateful for what they do have. And it's a difficult thing, and it's definitely easier said than done. So I don't have judgment for people there. All 100%. I do is just go, you know what, this is something I'm trying to get. Work for us. Yeah, 100%. And I'm just, and you go through cycles too, right? Like, I think, you're killing it for a little bit and you shit. 100%. So there's no crystal ball of getting it right, but I think it's just trying to always take stock of where you are and how you're showing up. Yeah. And then, do I need to reassess that, and do I need to maybe look, like, am I getting the response from my family or my, I think everything in life is almost like a mirror. Like, it's, if things are coming back at you in a negative way, how are you showing up? Shit input is shit output. 100%. Like, what you put in is what you put out. And I think that's a perfect way to sort of summarize this conversation, man, is just exactly that. Like, one of our values in the business is accountability. And I think so many of the struggles that I've had with friendships or family members or whatever it is, or even my own life, is looking in that mirror, Jocko Willink style, and taking 100% accountability for everything that's coming back at you in that mirror. So, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope this is the first of many more conversations to come, man. I've truly appreciated your time and your insight. Absolutely, mate. It's been awesome. And yeah, man, like I said, really grateful to have you in my life as both a friend and a mentor. And I can't wait to do this again, buddy. It's reciprocal, mate. I feel exactly the same way. Appreciate the opportunity. Sick. And let's keep rolling. Legend. Thanks, bro. Awesome, mate. Cheers.